Yes, indeed, folks. My name is Total Biscuit. This is Blue Please on WoW Radio. So good to be back. Now, as promised, I said I'd do a review of the WoW Miniatures game, so I'm going to do that. Now, I have my WoW Miniatures game all the way over there, and I don't think I need it here to review it, so I went into town before Christmas and thought, hey, I'll get myself a Christmas present as well as buying presents for everyone else. I actually got myself quite a few Christmas presents. I need to stop doing that. It's Steam's fault. Steam and their stupid sale. Damn you, Steam! I got like 5 games off of Steam. I got like Stalker Clear Sky, Bioshock, Alien Shooter Vengeance, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and something else which I can't quite remember. And I barely paid any money for it. That was a really sad thing. I was on Play.com, got the entire Rocky Anthology for 10 quid, and a copy of Sacred 2 for $9.99, which I haven't tried yet, but it does have an in-game Blind Guardian concert, which is probably worth the asking price in itself. No, I went in and I picked up this WoW Miniatures game, and I thought, hey, it might be worth trying, because my family's home for Christmas, including my brother. We used to do Warhammer and stuff like that back in the day, so we thought, hey, we'll give it a shot. So we play it through, and it's not a bad game. Well, you know, let's start at the beginning. This is what you get in the core set. You get 6 miniatures, yeah? Or you get, in our case, we got 3 Alliance and 3 of the Monsters faction, which consist of mobs, effectively. We got like a Ogre, we got a Storm Elemental, we got a Raptor, and on the Alliance side we got some Rogue with a Petitioned Blade and a Corehound Tooth, again Warrior and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Anyway, you get that and you get a board, a randomly selected board. There are a variety of different boards to choose from, each of which represent different terrain types within the World of Warcraft. And they're designed so that with the inclusive hex counters, you can set up different kinds of terrain. Now this is where the game becomes rather cool, because what you can do is you can set up popular battlegrounds or arenas. Not only that, but they've actually got rules for each one. For instance, you can set up the Nagrand Arena, like almost picture perfect, with the pillars and everything that block line of sight, and with the arena rules. Once one of your characters dies, that's it. You can play 2v2, 3v3 or 5v5. It's pretty awesome. Now, I find that idea to be particularly appealing. That was one of the things that really drew me to the game and thought, hey, this is really cool. If you get 2 of the winter-spring setups, you can actually set up Alterac Valley. You need 2 of the boards to do it, but it's a full-sized Alterac Valley. And you set up the terrain, and it looks like Alterac Valley. It's got all of the graveyards where they're supposed to be. It's even got the rules for mounting up. Alterac Valley's big, therefore you get to mount up. It's awesome. You know, I thought that was a really great idea. It simulates the fun of the game very, very well. Unfortunately, the problem lies with this particular game in the fact that the actual merchandise itself, while the board is great quality and the rules look like they've been set up in a fantastic manner, all the ideas behind the game are sound. The actual merch is pretty much subpar. Now, I'm a little bit of a purist and elitist when it comes to miniature quality because I am a big Warhammer fan. Huge Warhammer fan. I think it's the best miniature game ever made, honestly. I really do. And some people, of course, might agree with me on that, might disagree. But personally, I believe that it is the best miniature game ever put together. The quality of the miniatures is excellent. Now, of course, I don't expect Warhammer quality miniatures when I'm buying a collectible miniatures game. This is a new thing, you know, stuff like HeroClix and the Halo game, stuff like that. Collectible miniatures is becoming the next CCG, and I understand that, and in fact I approve of it, because, to be honest, collecting cards is, well, it's not a lot appealing, is it? Like, hey, I've got a stack of 1,000 cards versus, hey, I've got a shelf full of really cool-looking miniatures. Yeah, I'll go with the miniatures. And it's like £9.99 for a set of randomly 3 selected miniatures. So it's not too bad. It's £3.33 per miniature. But the quality of the miniatures and the build quality and the painting quality is actually not very good at all. And that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. I did hope that it would be a lot better. I mean, some of them are alright. You know, as regards to accuracy in relating to like in-game models and stuff like that, they're pretty much bang on. I mean, the Corehound Tooth looks like a Corehound Tooth. The guy in his Tier 1 Rogue set looks like guy in Tier 1 Rogue set. The Elemental is particularly cool. There's actually one that's like translucent, which is pretty awesome. Translucent plastic. The Storm Elemental looks pretty awesome. But the painting quality is pretty poor. It says made in China on the bottom of it, so, you know, what do you expect? I find it rather ironic, let me put it that way, that the company, particularly Blizzard, who is so against Chinese gold farmers and stuff like that, the miniatures game is made in China. Go figure. Probably the same guys who are on their night shift farming gold are going to make these horribly painted, crappy little plastic miniatures. But I can forgive that. I can forgive it as long as they're functional. Now, herein lies one of the problems. The game itself works on the basis of a 2-tier clock system, right? The game has a clock. Yeah, it's got a series of rounds up to round 10, which you mark with a counter, and then you reset and do it again. Now, the internal clock of each miniature, and this is the separate clock, is represented by what's called the U-base, and it's UDE's, i.e. Upper Deck Entertainment's, version of a counter-based system, right? You've got a base that you put your miniature on, and it's got two kind of tickers, counters on it, that you can slide around to represent the health and to represent the internal clock of the unit. Now, when you use an attack, like, say, for instance, you use a particularly powerful attack, it's got a long cooldown, and it means that your internal clock on your unit, you advance it a set number of points. And you can only do something with that unit again once the game clock reaches that number. So, here's a quick example. You start on number 1, right? So you take say you're just doing a 1v1 duel, yeah? You take your miniature and say Ralph the Raptor, or whatever you want to call it, does a quick attack. And the quick attack rolls 3 dice or whatever, and it takes 1 unit of time. So you advance your clock to 2, okay? And then Oswald the Ogre has a really big attack that does like 7 dice worth of damage, but it advances his clock by like 4, so he advances his clock to 5. Now, once everyone's taken their move, you advance the game's clock by 1, and then you see if any of the miniatures on the board match up to whatever that clock is. So in the case of Ralph the Raptor, he gets to take another action. Oswald the Ogre, on the other hand, doesn't, because he's done a big slow attack. It's a very cool way of balancing slow, hard-hitting units with the faster units. So I'm a big fan of that. I think it's pretty cool. The problem is, the actual miniatures don't fit on the bases properly. They're supposed to click in, no glue required, yeah? But they don't. They don't fit. None of them fit. I have 6 miniatures, yeah? And there's 3 monster bases and 3 alliance bases. And I've tried every possible combination, and not one of them will stay in. Now, this would be less of a problem if, of course, you weren't adjusting counters, little fiddly counters, on the base every turn. You try and slide the counter around, and the miniature falls over! It's horrendous! It falls over, and the worst thing is, because of the way that it's designed, yeah, the miniature has 2 holes in its base, which obviously go over the big wheel on the top of it to represent health. So it falls off, and you forget what health the unit was at! It's awful! What were they thinking? Why do these miniatures not fit? I don't understand. How difficult can it be? I mean, I could fix it with some super glue, but I'm not supposed to use super glue on these things. They're supposed to be clickable. They're supposed to be put together. I actually contacted UDE like 2 weeks ago asking for an explanation. I'm like, I contacted their customer service. I'm like, you'd have thought their customer service would answer a simple request on the basis of, hey, is my stuff broken? Because this stuff doesn't fit. But no answer. Great. Bloody great customer service there. So you've got a game, a deluxe core set as they call it, and none of the miniatures will stay in their bases, they just fall over, which makes playing the game incredibly frustrating. Now, the core set as well, which I do object to rather strongly, contains 6 dice, yeah? 3 monster dice, 3 alliance dice. You think, okay, that's great. It's not enough. Some of the attacks require 7 dice or more, so you're having to re-roll dice. It's ridiculous. It's like you're paying £25 for this core deluxe set. You expect it to contain everything you need to start, and it doesn't. Not only does it not contain miniatures that don't fall over at the slightest prod, but it only contains 6 dice, and it's 3 for each colour. You'd expect to have your own dice for your own side, but no, it's not even close to being enough. Are you seriously telling me they couldn't have splurged out for a few more dice? I mean, don't get me wrong, they're nice dice. They're 10-siders, they're nicely done, they've got a good texture to them, but you only gave me 6? Oh, come on. I mean, really? You expect me to buy another core set for some more dice? Do me a favour. Now, also, the core set apparently contains a loot card. Or so it claims. It actually says this on the back of the box. Contains a sample, introduction points card. Which it does. But it also says it contains a loot card. So I got the points card. I'm like, hey, awesome. So I look in the little, sealed packet for my loot card. What do I find? A common level hero. Now, anyone who's ever played the TCG knows that hero cards are the worst things to ever get in booster packs, because you can only ever use one of them. There's no point in owning multiples of a single hero. So it's a wasted card. This hero is worse than every hero I have ever seen in the game. I used to play the TCG pretty heavily, and this hero sucks! And it's not a loot card. It said it had a loot card. Even if it was a bloody pet biscuit, it would have been nice to have actually got what I paid for. But no, it wasn't even a loot card. It's sad, right? Because, I mean, the state of the WoW merchandise scene is, you know, they've got Upper Deck who do the TCG, which is a good quality game. I like the TCG. The problem I had with it is they released too many bloody booster packs too fast. You know, they released all these sets within a couple of months apart. By the time you built a good deck, tournament level, it was counted by the next set. It was a scam, effectively. Not only that, but of course they brought Fires of Outland out of print for no apparent reason whatsoever, which not only has caused a massive inflation in the cost of the booster packs, but has also meant that the Spectral Tiger mount, possibly the most desirable item out of the entire thing, is about $850. I mean, good lord. You know, people want this card. Why don't you just print the damn booster? I mean, you know, it's a good set as well. It's got some pretty good stuff in it. Why make one entire set go out of print when your older stuff is still in print? I don't get it. That makes no sense at all. I can't figure it out. So when you got this big scene where there's all of this WoW merchandise, Blizzard is accountable to some degree for the quality of said merchandise because they have licensed it. You look at stuff like figure prints, you know, or is it fingerprints? Fingerprints? Fingerprints, I can't remember which. Anyway, they're really cool. They're good quality items. I've seen them. They're good, and they're worth the cost. Those awesome steins, for instance. Those really cool. They're expensive, but my god, the quality. Look at them. They're beautiful. They're incredibly well designed. You know, the new Echoes of War CD. Incredibly good value. Nice packaging, lots of tracks, good music, well produced, great, awesome. All of this merch, good quality. Hell, even the, I believe, isn't the DC figurines or whatever? I can't remember. The figurines they're making. Also very good quality. Great, I'd buy them. T-shirts, Jinx stuff, very good quality, worth buying. And then you've got the WoW Miniatures game, which is potentially a really huge seller. It combines the excitement of miniatures games, and I like miniatures games, and I like board games, and they're good fun, with the idea of a collectible game. It's a winner waiting to happen. How could it possibly fail? Well, I can tell you how it could possibly fail if the quality of the product sucks, which is a crying shame because I want to love this game. I want to love the WoW Miniatures game. I really do. I love miniatures games, and I love board games, and I love the attention to detail that they've put into the rulebook, into the way the characters work. I mean, you've got an action bar system where you've got various skills that you can collect and swap out. It's genius. It's combining the CCG with the miniatures. It's wonderful. You can collect all these action bar cards and customize your character. There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of strategy. And then you've got all this customization. All these different battles you can set up. You can create your own custom rule sets very easily. You know, the rule book tells you how. You can set up all the battlegrounds. Hell, you could have a Strand of the Ancients if you wanted. Have a think about it. You know, just think of rules for siege engines and stuff like that. You can have an Alterac Valley. You can have Warsong Gulch. They're all set up. They work. All the rules are there for you. So much variety, so much potential fun. Ruined by the fact that they couldn't even release a quality product that will stand up. For God's sake, you should include a bloody packet of blue tack with your product. Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out and I can recommend this game. Do it. I mean, you know, it's not too much to ask for a product to work as it should, or for a box to contain what it's supposed to contain. I'm not going to recommend it until that. I would strongly suggest that you stay away from the product until they fix those glaring issues. Maybe if you've got a bit of super glue and you wouldn't mind a bit of DIY, then it's worth buying. I'm just saying, why buy an inferior product? Why not give them a kick in the ass and tell them to produce something that actually works as intended? I've said enough about Blizzard, why not say about its affiliates? My name's Salt Biscuit, you're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. We're rapidly running out of time, so we're going to have a very, very quick track. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to play a very quick track. I'm going to play Sabotage with Horn of the Mountain King. I'll be right back after this. We'll just have a slightly longer show than usual. Why not? It's with the Illusion of Choice. You've got about 5 minutes to submit your topics for the Illusion of Choice, and then I shall pick one of them, and I shall shatter your dreams. Enjoy.